Hello and welcome to the third section of the Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire Eco Open Homes webinar. This section looks at what you need to do to prepare to open your home and what you need to do after the event. So your first decision before the event is when you want to open, what dates and what times. So our events typically run over a whole week or a whole month, but obviously we don't expect your house to be open for a whole month. Instead, you can choose a day or certain days within that month or week when you'd like to open. So for example, you might say, I'm going to open on the 21st of May from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Or you might choose a whole weekend, a Saturday and a Sunday next to each other. Experience tells us that homes get the most visitors if they choose a weekend day and during the day. So we found in the past that opening during the week or of an evening doesn't tend to get as many visitors, unfortunately. And also, if you can open at the same time as other homes that are in close geographical proximity to your own home, then you'll almost certainly get more visitors because people will see that they can visit a few homes in one go. So if you haven't got people you know who are opening close by, it's worth asking the MEA if there are other homes within the area that are opening, and then we can try and coordinate for you to open at the same time. If you're going to open all day, then you do need to plan in lunch and breaks rotas for everyone involved, or possibly just close for an hour for lunch. So people do say that it's quite a long day, so it's enjoyable but it's tiring, so you do need to make sure you have some breaks. Great. Most people who open through our event operate at just turn up sort of basis, so during their advertised opening hours people can just turn up. But if you prefer, you can use a pre-booking system, and the advantage of this is it just means you know who's coming, when they're coming, how many people are coming, how many biscuits to buy, that kind of thing. Excuse me. So a really good free way to do this is to use eventbrite.co.uk, and through that website people can just book on for free. It doesn't cost you or them anything. If you prefer, then MEA might be able to take bookings for you. It's worth asking us. But if you do that, and we do have the capacity, then we will use Eventbrite ourselves and simply pass on to you a list of bookings quite close to the day of your event. Okay. We suggest that you have 3 people on hand at all times. Somebody to open the door and let people in, someone to show people around, and a third person to hand out refreshments if you're doing that, and also to sort of hold people and help them, just sort of hold them in a room and wait for the next tour to start. Okay, so you might have 3 people in your house already who can do that, which is great, but if you don't, one option is to ask friends or family to help out. Another option is if you're a member of a local community group, maybe a green community group, they might have someone who can help you out. If you are stuck for volunteers, it's worth contacting MEA. We might be able to provide a volunteer for the day if we've got someone who's free. Okay, something else you need to do before the event is prepare your tour. And this is quite a big topic, so we cover that in a separate webinar called Giving a Good Guided Tour, so I'll let you watch that separately. Something else we cover separately is publicising, and I've put here publicise, 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 because it's just really important. It's really key to getting lots of people through the door. So we have a Getting People Through the Door webinar for you to watch. Okay. Another thing is to warn your neighbours. Warn them that there might be lots of extra parked cars on the road that day, but also invite them so they might not mind the extra parked cars if they get to have a bit of a nosy around your house. And then another quite important thing ahead of the event is to consider if there are any risks or hazards in your home. So just because you know to duck your head as you walk through the low doorway doesn't mean your visitors will, because they're not used to being in the house. So we've got 2 links here. Guidance on risk assessments from Heritage Open Days, so that's specific to opening a building, and also a template risk assessment that you can fill in. So it's simply a case of looking around your house, spotting any obvious hazards, and thinking about what action you might take to reduce those hazards, and then taking that action. So in the case of the low doorway, you might just put a sign above it saying, please duck, or point it out before you take people through it. And then finally, before the event, it's worth checking with your home insurance that they will cover you for any kind of loss or damage to anything in your house. So MEA doesn't provide that cover, for the event, and you may well find that you're automatically covered under your existing insurance, because it's no different really to having friends around or having people around for dinner, but it is worth just checking with them. Great, so that's quite a lot to do before you even get to the day itself. Once it arrives, there are a few more things to do. On the morning of the event, lock away any valuables and lock any rooms that you don't want people to go in. Okay. And then just make your home as welcoming and as inviting as possible. So make sure it's warm, make sure it's clean, make sure it's tidy. Okay. And then to make sure people can find you, put up some good signage. Excuse me. So maybe have a poster in the window. If it's appropriate, a poster at the end of the street. You might have some balloons on the gate. Just make it easy for people to find you. If you'd like to, you can provide drinks and light refreshments. There's no obligation to do this. That people are probably going to be in your home for no longer than an hour, so they should be able to go without their caffeine and their sugar for that long. But if, on the other hand, you love hosting and you'd like to bake a cake or provide coffee and tea, then feel free to do that. And as people come towards the end of their visit, you'll need to ask them to fill out a feedback form. And you can see an example of this on the right. MEA will provide these feedback forms. They look slightly different each year. So this is one example. It can feel a bit awkward to ask people to do this, but they can refuse if they want. They probably won't. Most people don't. It'll only take them 2-3 minutes. And it's really useful for informing our future events and helping us to attract funding to run the events again in future years. Also on the day, take as many pictures as you can. So they're really great for showing off what you did and helping us publicise future events. Do ask people first if they mind being in a photo. That said, through our pre-booking system, if you do go for that, we do sometimes put a sentence on that says that we reserve the right to take a photo of everyone who comes through the door. And we can put that on your event entry on our website if you'd like us to. And that can be a good security measure. That means you've got a photograph of everyone who's come through the door of the house. So that's what you need to do on the day. Just going to have a look now at what you need to do after the event. The most important thing you need to do after the event is put your feet up. So it can be a really enjoyable day, but it can be a really tiring day. A top tip from people who've taken part in the past is to make your dinner the night before and then just have it to heat up directly after the event. So it's just easy. Or you could, of course, order a takeaway if you'd rather. So just make sure you have some time to relax afterwards. Once you're feeling rested, we've got a householder feedback form we ask you to fill in. So this is on the left here. And that is your feedback to MEA about how well we've supported you in the event. And we ask you to be honest because it just really helps us to then improve that year on year and make sure we offer you a good service. And then you'll need to take that, gather it up with the feedback forms that your visitors filled in and post it back to us. So you've got our free post address. You don't need to memorise this now. This will be written down for you when we send out the feedback form to you. And finally, it's really helpful if you can email back the photos that you took. So we've got a website address here, ccan@mea.org.uk. And again, it's just great if we can have photos to put on our website, and we really enjoy seeing them and seeing what the events look like. So that's all for this presentation. There were 3 other presentations that you can watch. So they're on our website. And our website is everybodies-talking.org/ecohomes. Thank you.